Hi, I'm Alex Barron with Digital Research, and I'm sitting here in San Francisco with the CEO and co-founder of Dan Burkhart. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Dan Burkhart. I am the CEO and co-founder of Recurly.
Perfect. So tell us, what does Recurly do exactly?
We provide a platform which powers subscription billing operations for thousands of companies now, allowing them to build successful ventures and outsource the cost and complexity of billing operations.
Okay, perfect. So what's your typical customer like? Is there a particular market or company size that you target, or are you pretty open to many different types of companies?
Fortunately for us, recurring billing has become a horizontal operation appealing to many different vertical industries. So our business is largely horizontal, and we have several verticals that have emerged. So traditional media, what's called OTT, over-the-top media streaming, is one vertical that has really taken off. We have many others, from distance learning to traditional SaaS companies to all kinds of business services that typically are digital businesses. We also have some physical goods businesses, like box of the month type businesses that have been taking off in the world of subscriptions.
So what is the typical market that Recurly focuses on?
Recurly focuses on a horizontal set of markets because recurring billing has a common sort of set of pain points, if you will, across many different vertical markets. But we have several verticals that have emerged as being quite strong for us. We do serve the needs of both B2B and B2C companies, so traditional SaaS companies. HubSpot is a customer of ours that just went public and rang the bell of the NASDAQ recently. We have many different landing page optimization companies, sort of traditional SaaS operations with multi-tiered offerings. We have many B2C companies, which are everything from dating services to music subscriptions to distance learning, accreditation, professional accreditation services. Some of our favorites are even weather services, and Weather.com, AccuWeather, Weather Underground are three customers. So these examples are starting to get us into this notion of the Internet of Things, where there might be a computer or a sensor or a device that is emitting data that needs to be billed, and that's something that we serve very well. So we are not only providing the ability to bill on a metered basis, but also from a variety of atomized services that might have different interrelationships between their pricing and consumption. Another interesting area for us is what we refer to in the world of TV, video streaming on demand, or what is referred to as OTT, over-the-top media streaming, is when media companies are providing content and content packages. So it can be international language content, sports packages, etc. Very specific, tailored vertical packages of premium content that are being offered on a subscription basis to end subscribers directly via the internet. And this is an interesting category because it is disruptive, and it is allowing media providers to go direct to consumer, giving them much more pricing control and, of course, better margins in doing so. And so we have many well-known names: Sling TV, CBS Interactive, Showtime, other vertical providers for sports, a company called Fast Hockey, which is specifically for the sport of hockey and hockey fans to subscribe directly. So we have a broad variety, dozens of companies that are in the business of providing media streaming directly to end consumers. So to recap, fortunately, there is a broad horizontal common pain point to power subscription billing operations across business to business and business to consumer. And then as we get into these specific verticals, we have the ability to provide flexible solutions to serve the needs of many of these different vertical operators.
So could you mention some of your existing customers, and if any of them are, have a particularly interesting success story, could you talk about that?
Sure. Well, let me start with the over-the-top category. So this is I'd say by and large a disruptive category. You hear about cord cutting, and cord cutting is something that was originally thought to be appealing to just millennials. It turns out that it is appealing to far more than just millennials now here in the United States. And these are basically traditional media companies that have content that used to go through cable operators in order to offer media on a subscription basis. They now, through the advent of the penetration of broadband internet connections to the home, are able to deliver this content directly to subscribers, and in doing so are able to offer the variety of SKUs and different promotional packages, feature pricing bundles they're typically called, in order to resonate and appeal with many different market segments. So there might be a segment that appeals to perhaps a college student that is different, priced differently and maybe packaged differently. It might include sports, for example, rather than politics or vice versa. And then as they target different segments and different channels to get to different segments, they might want to package together a different feature pricing bundle. So we have a variety of different customers. Sling TV is one of the customers that we're very proud of. Sling started off as a bit of a side business and is now very much the growth driver of the Dish company.
Okay, excellent. So, obviously subscription is a growing space, meaning there's going to be lots of competitors in the market. How does Recurly differentiate themselves from these other companies?
We differentiate ourselves in a variety of ways. The first would be the ease of integration and the ease of launch. So we're very much a developer-friendly company. We provide easy APIs and developer tools, so everything from client libraries to mobile SDKs so that companies can get up and running very quickly. The second is we put a lot of effort into good user experience design. We believe that design is a differentiator and very important in the recent age of consumerization of IT. Basically, enterprise software is now being sold with the level of polish. It's expected to have a level of polish that consumer applications always have had. But now we're able to deliver a product that is of that level of a polish to enterprises so that we can reduce the amount of training that's required, and it allows our application to be adopted by many more individuals within the organization. So we're able to sell into organizations and then effectively land and expand is what it's called, and we're able to expand across different business units that might hear about our offering, that trust has been established, that we're able to help them grow successful businesses, and then new business unit owners and operators are able to adopt.
Okay, perfect. Now you mentioned a little bit about the setup. Could you expand on that and talk about how quickly somebody can get up to speed with let's say that media product or a game product? How quickly can they start billing people with subscriptions using Recurly?
Sure. So let me name a couple names here. So Twitch is one of our other customers we're very proud of. They were acquired by Amazon. And they initially had built a homegrown billing solution that they had outgrown, and they wanted to liberate themselves from the constraints of a homegrown solution that wasn't giving them all the flexibility and affordances that they required. So they adopted Recurly, and they were able to get up and running in less than a month. And they've continued with us for over 4 years. Sling, I had mentioned, they got 4 different properties. So Blockbuster TV, Sling Media, Dish Digital, and the Sling TV product up and running in 3 weeks, which actually was completed far more quickly than, of course, the contract negotiations. So the engineers were done and they were waiting to launch, and they were waiting for the lawyers to actually finish up the document before we were able to launch.
Okay, good stuff.
Yeah.
So let's change gears a little bit, and I want to know what you were doing before Recurly.
Prior to Recurly, I spent almost 5 years at eBay doing what is now called growth marketing, and we called it internet marketing. I was managing a group called Portals and Partners, and I was responsible for acquiring customers from AOL, MSN, Yahoo, etc. Big, massive distribution partners at the time. And what that taught me was eBay was and is a very data-driven company. And so we had great visibility into the economics and the unit economics of each of these channel partners, so that when we had a big budget unlocked that we were going to go put to work to acquire more customers, we knew exactly how to allocate these dollars across these different marketing channels, which was a great training ground for what we're doing here today at Recurly, because what we're really offering our customers is the ability to have better visibility into the unit economics of their subscribers on a plan and channel specific basis, even a cohort specific basis. And a lot of that was really brought to bear at eBay, because eBay was ahead of the curve, being very data driven, had fantastically smart statisticians and a great data warehouse. When I left eBay, I realized that this was not an affordance that many companies had, and at any stage of growth. And so we built Recurly from day one to not only be developer friendly, but to also build on top of that developer friendly architecture a set of tools and reports and visibility that allowed our customers to make more informed decisions to help them turn billing into a competitive advantage, to really pull billing out from being kind of a back office function and to pull it forward into the suite of software that's being used to grow companies in order to give them that competitive advantage by way of that better visibility.
Okay. So what were the early days of the company like?
Oh, scrappy. Just
yeah.
As I'd say most early companies are. I'd say we had this wonderful affordance, which was when we founded the company, we had product market fit very early on. So when we launched the company and announced its existence, we already had 40 paying customers out of the gates. And so I know that not many companies have that luxury, and so it felt like we were trying to keep up with a train that was moving very quickly from day one, and that forced a certain level of scrappiness. And I'd say that we certainly bumped our heads along the way, just as most companies do. But now 6 years into it, we're turning 6 actually tomorrow.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a milestone. And we now look back, and we are at a much different stage of maturity, and we have about 100 people in the organization and a couple of thousand customers, and we're growing quickly. So early stages were a lot of late nights and a lot of mistakes being made along the way, but we always leaned into it and said, hey, it's okay to make mistakes as long as we don't make the same mistake twice.
Right. I think that's good advice for anybody to have. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned you have 40 customers the day you launched. Would you say just keeping those customers happy in those early days was the biggest challenge, or was there some other challenge that was tough for you?
I would say, reflecting back, we had set out initially to focus our attentions on what we call the center of the bell curve, which is we had admitted and acknowledged to ourselves up front that the appeal of Recurly was going to be to provide a really elegant, simple interface that was going to solve core billing use cases, but we were deliberately not trying to solve for the entire bell curve of all these different edge cases and corner cases out of the gates. And I'd say that having that discipline to say no to, at times, large customers and large opportunities that were presenting big checkbooks and saying, hey, we'll pay you a lot of money if you'll run off and design something to solve for this particular use case. We encountered that all the time, as most companies do. And I'd say that in hindsight, looking back, that discipline has actually given us the ability to grow a business and expand judiciously and thoughtfully along the way, so that our features and our capabilities have matured and we're solving for higher value use cases and serving the needs of larger enterprises now. But had we done that too quickly, and had we kind of taken the bait to go run out and solve for these odd use cases that one single customer used, we never would have been able to scale.
Okay, that's a nice luxury to have as well, to be able to pick what clients you have. So, I mean, in terms of advice for startups, you mentioned some advice already. Do you have any other advice for typical startup founders?
Looking back on it again, I think that we've been fortunate in that we initially wanted to focus on solving for SaaS companies and billing use cases for SaaS companies. We thought that subscription billing was going to be largely centered there. And one of the wonderful surprises along the way is that the proliferation of the subscription model and just the appeal of annuity revenue streams, predictable revenues, has resonated across the board, across all of these different verticals. And so the short answer is focus on large markets, because our market happened to be large and growing far more quickly than we ever anticipated. And so I would say in hindsight, what that has given us is the ability it's given us some degrees of freedom in terms of margins of error, and allows you to actually execute in a way that allows you to take some risks. It allows you to learn and course correct a bit along the way. Because very few companies set out on a compass heading that is going to be the same compass heading year after year after year. And so I'd say the first piece of advice would certainly be to focus on large and growing markets, because that insurance policy that it gives you in terms of those degrees of freedom end up, I think in many instances, making the difference between success and failure.
So what are the company values of Recurly?
It's interesting. Our values are something that we're very proud of, and it has become increasingly important to our success as a subscription billing provider, because our billing model, our pricing model, is actually based on the success of our customers. So at the outset, we have to create a culture that is very much in alignment with the success of our customers, and that means that we have to be empathetic to their needs, we have to understand their pain points, and one of the core values, in fact, one of our first core values, is to be mindful. And what we mean by that is to be empathetic to the needs of our users and to be the champions of our customers. And that comes out in a variety of different ways, but certainly in terms of product design and how we handle escalations when a customer has a particular set of needs or something might not be going well for them, and how we respond to that is actually very emblematic of the value system that we've put in place. We also, as a very data-driven company, another one of our values is to iterate everything, and we take a look at everything from people, process, behaviors, and how we do what we do on a daily basis with a fresh set of eyes and a fresh perspective to always evaluate how we might double back to improve on any given topic. I think a number of these things have helped us build a company that brings bring a level of passion and frankly some fun to the office that keeps things lively, and it allows us to have a workplace where challenging convention and saying, hey, we ought to really go back and look at this and take another look at this based on the data that we're seeing to see if we can improve on it, is actually a welcomed conversation rather than something that might be thought of as being disrespectful.
So we should probably wrap up soon, but I have two final questions. What's next for Recurly?
We, of course, have high aspirations, so I'd say a couple of things. One is we have learned along the way from many of our top customers that billing is an incredibly important function, and it means different things to different people, or so to speak, in terms of different enterprises. Different verticals have different needs for billing, and many of them need to integrate with different kinds of systems, and so we're in the process of opening a platform that allows us to integrate with many different types of third-party back office providers, and this can be anything from affiliate management and tracking to ERP systems to general ledger systems, etc., CRM, of course. But there are n number of integrations, and so we had to, at a certain point along the way, decide that we're going to invest deeply on a set of infrastructure that will allow us to not only integrate with, but also play nicely with many of these different combinations of back office enterprise systems. So that's the first, and that's a big undertaking. Secondly is international expansion. So we now integrate with 16 different payment gateways and processors. We're adding additional currencies along the way. We just added Japanese yen, support for Japanese yen.
I was going to ask you that.
Yes. And this allows us to support multinational companies that want to do business in Japan and sign up subscribers from Japan. And so that is something that is now in testing and will be live in a couple of weeks. But this is basically a sequence of events that allows us to not only support the needs of growing multinational companies that have aspirations to go broad and to serve the needs of additional markets, but it allows us to ultimately grow our own operations so that we can have data centers and sales offices in many different countries around the world.
Okay, nice. So wrapping up, where can people go to learn more about Recurly?
Recurly.com. And there is the ability to sign up for a free demo or sandbox account so developers can come in and have access to all of our tools and the entire application for free. And once you have a set of questions or would like a handheld demo, we can certainly provide that to you.
All right, well, thank you very much, Dan. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.